Toastmasters.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. My name is Rhonda Whitaker. I am Sergeant at Arms. I would like to ask you to help me warmly welcome our club president, Mr. Will Burns.
Hey! Will Burns, home stretch. Almost done.
Thank you, Rhonda.
It's a lame duck.
Well, almost done, so we'll keep this short. But first, I'd like to welcome back our Toastmasters, our viewers at home, and our honored and distinguished guests. Start with the two over here on this side. Jenny. Welcome back.
And she's giant.
And she's Jane. Come on. Yeah, you're
All
joining.
right, all right.
So,
Yes. Good move.
And Rick, you also joined as well, correct?
I did.
Wow.
Right.
Fantastic.
And that is the guests. Guests no longer.
Yes, no.
They have joined us, Toastmasters, where we provide a mutually supportive, positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence, personal growth. Yes,
That's
this
very
is all about the personal growth. I'm all about the leadership. It's the alchemy of these two things that make us who we are today. And now it's my pleasure to call up our Toastmaster, Rhonda Whitaker.
Yeah, Rhonda.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. It is my job to run the meeting on time and give everybody the feeling that everything is under control and going well, and it's a happy, delightful occasion. Welcome, honored guests. Please come in and join us. Tonight, our theme is experience. It's a quote by Gail Godwin. One is taught by experience to put a premium on those few people who can appreciate you for who you are. Toastmasters does that. Now, I would like to ask our role players to introduce themselves. We'll start with our timer and explain her role.
Good evening. As a timer, I'll let you know where you are in your speech. So for table topic speakers, you need to speak for at least 1 minute to qualify. That means at 1 minute, I'll turn on the green light.
Oops, that's right.
Close.
Yeah.
There you go.
Close.
And then at 1 minute 30, I'll turn on the yellow. And then at 2 minutes, I'll turn on the red. And then you have a 30-second grace period in which you need to finish your speech. For prepared speeches, or am I going on to evaluate it? No. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. The green light will be turned on at 5. And then the yellow light will be turned on at 6. And then the red light will be turned on at 7. And then you have 30 seconds to finish your speech. Evaluations are 3 minutes. The green light is turned on at 2. The yellow light is turned on at 2 minutes 30. The red light is turned on at 3 minutes and remains on until the end of the evaluation. I'll give a 1 minute report at the end of the meeting.
Heck yeah.
Our next role player is Rhea Saint. Rhea, could you please give us a short explanation of your duty and role as our counter?
I will be keeping track of all the filler words such as and so, but, tongue clicks, repeats, and I'll be giving a report at the end.
Thank you, Rhea.
Yeah, Rhea, get him.
I'd like to ask our grammarian, Mr. Ryan Olson, to give his report as grammarian.
Welcome, everyone. Today's word of the day is abhorrence, and it's a noun, a feeling of repulsion, disgusted loathing. I have a deep abhorrence for all uses of nuclear power.
Yo.
Right.
And as my role as grammarian today, I will be keeping track of incorrect use and proper use of language in words. And I will also be keeping account of how many people work abhorrence into their talks tonight.
Yo.
Now we'll hear from our general evaluator, Will Burns,
Later on.
later on. You don't have to explain what you're evaluating, I guess. Thank you. Our joke master tonight is John Loros. At the end of the meeting,
That'd be fun.
our ballot counter is Cindy Traynor. She'll be collecting the ballots. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Seth Braun, our
Okay.
topics master.
Sure. Well, they say that nature abhors a vacuum, yes?
Yes.
But have you ever heard that nature has an abhorrence for vacuums? I've never heard that. But I have heard this, that Jimi Hendrix, anybody ever heard of Jimi Hendrix?
Yes.
He's a famous guitar player in the American pop cultural scene. He had a particular way of playing his guitar. It was kind of like... Is that something like that?
I'm gonna saw it live.
So Gene has seen Jimi Hendrix live. Anybody else? All right.
Nobody else.
Well, did you know that Jimi Hendrix was also a paratrooper?
No.
And that he was used to hearing the sound of the plane right before he jumped, and that sound of that rushing and the thrill of about to jump was emulated in the guitar, and you can hear that. Much like coming up to speak for table topics.
True.
Have you ever been experienced? That's a song. It's a Jimi Hendrix song. Have you ever been experienced? Well,
Yeah.
I have. Okay, so experience is the theme for this evening. I'd like to have a volunteer to come up and speak about experience traveling in the United States. Someone to come up and give us tell us about an experience. Anybody? Anybody? I think Rahul. Yes, come on up.
Okay. It's a setup.
So would you be willing to tell us about some experience you've had traveling in one of the 50 continental states like Wyoming or
Sure.
Minnesota
Sure.
or such and like and therefore? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, friends, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. My name is Rahul Vaz, and at this point of time, I'm not here to speak about the table topics. Sorry. I'm here to share something much more urgent and important that has happened in my life, which would tie down to the theme of our table topics, but that be later. I'm going to California. And this incident happened in just this past week. So last Toastmasters meeting, I was not knowing of this thing, and I have to go to California. So one thing that I wanted to tell you is I will miss this experience of Toastmasters in Golden Speakers, but I'll be joining some club over there. Now, speaking about the next part of it, club will need a vice president of membership for the next thing. So what's unfortunate for me could be very fortunate for someone who would like to step into a leadership role. After that, let's tie down something to this. I do have a lot of traveling experience. And just to tell you, I'm going to travel on the road trip from Fairfield, Iowa to Corona, California. So that's going to be experience. I have a lot of other experience, but that for later. Let this time be utilized by other speakers to experience the thrill of facing what Jimi Hendrix did in I don't know what whatsoever.
That's all always kind of a heartbreaking, bittersweet thing to hear that one of our Toastmasters is moving on, especially one who brings as much to the club as Rahul. Would you agree? Road trips. Experience. Who's got an experience on a road trip that they'd like to tell us about? Maybe it was in Nebraska, the everlasting state. Let's hear, I think let's hear from Rosalie. Yes. Please.
Yo!
Rosaline.
Yes.
Rosaline, please come and tell us about an experience that you had on a road trip.
Well, I thought I would tell you about my experience moving here. I was a single mom. I had just divorced. I had 2 kids, and I decided I was moving to Fairfield, Iowa. I came twice on the trip, for the courses they had here, and I decided this is what I wanted. So I packed my things and I sold my things, and I just took my kids. My son was 9 and my daughter was, I think, 6. And I drove from Vancouver to Fairfield. And on my way, well, actually it took me 5 times to get across the border because I didn't have all the papers. But I was very determined, and I decided that I was going to do that. And then I was pulling a trailer, which my friends, anybody that has been trying to get across the border with that would tell you that you don't do that. But somehow I had angels taking care of me, and I did. And I wanted to move here to go to university, but a lot of things changed along the way. So going through the mountains of Montana, was really, my trailer was a little heavy for my car, in spite that I had a V8 in my car. But the car heated up right after the big mountains, and here I was, there was nobody around, there was no houses, there was nothing. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I had to stop, get out the car, go in the ditch with my kids, and the car heated up, and things kind of blew from the car, and I didn't know if it was just the water or what it was. So I thought, what am I going to do? A woman with 2 kids, I'm not going to take a ride from a man because I'm going to be afraid, So I was ready to cry because I didn't have a clue what would happen. But here was this little red car, a Christian lady stopped. She had 2 little kids. And she said, what's the matter? And so I explained to her what happened. And she said, oh, I have a friend. He's a really good mechanic, and he's very kind. He'll help you, and he won't charge you much. So I take off with her and my 2 kids, go to her home. The guy comes over, asks me what happened. I told them. So about an hour or so later, he comes back, my car is fixed, he charges me $30 for the part, and I'm on my way again.
All right. Yay! We do cut slack for new members. You'll get used to the lights, and
Yeah, I forgot to watch.
it's something that will come. And after you've been here a few weeks, we'll start to clamp down on you. Well, maybe a couple months. I'll start to clamp down. Road trips, experiences on the road, traveling through the United States. Anybody ever been on Greyhound bus? Greyhound bus. I remember when I was young, I used to take the Greyhound all over the place. I remember one trip, I thought I would never get through Texas. Going east-west through Texas. It was like, am I still in Texas? Come on. What is going on? I think we'll take Art. I saw Art had his hand up. Yay! Road trips, experiences, on the road, the highways, the byways, the interstates.
Yes.
Is it
road
clear?
trips.
Are you clear about the question?
I'm clear that it's about road trips, and I'm going to pick the one that's about Nebraska, except South Dakota, which is close. My name's Art Atkinson. Greetings, Toastmasters and guests. When you don't know what Sturgis weekend is, and you set out to go to Montana with all the kids and the camping gear and the wife, and just your vehicle is loaded. So this is us. And we head west through South Dakota, thinking all is well, and we stop at this little burg in almost dead center, east and west in the state, where there's a car museum, because my son is an absolute nut about antique cars. And we pulled into a motel and asked if we could get a room. I'm sorry, we're booked up. So we just go down the street to the next motel, same story. I'm sorry, we're booked up. I'm saying, what is going on? Third motel, sorry, we're booked up. This is Sturgis weekend. What planet do you live on? Every place in this town is booked up. Not only was that the story, but not only is every place in this town booked up, but here we are, it's 300 miles to the Black Hills and where Sturgis is. And I'm informed that every motel for 300 miles radius around Sturgis, so 600 miles west of us, we might be getting out of Sturgis zone, and it's now 8 o'clock in the evening, and what are we going to do? So we improvised some camping, and ended up going through Sturgis and just getting a little bit of view of the goings-on, and continuing to head west and going out for a fabulous family reunion on the Yellowstone River in Montana in the middle of July. But boy, did I learn my lesson about planning around Sturgis. This
I-75. You can go from the Florida Keys all the way up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's amazing. You've got the Yoopers to the Parrot Heads and everyone in between in the I-75 corridor. Road trips, experiences. Nature abhors a vacuum. Jimi Hendrix. Have you ever been experienced? Tom Trainer looks very eager to come up. Let's give him a hand. Road trips. Are you clear about the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests. I'm going to tell you about a trip, but we're going to back up 300 years, and it's not a road trip that we know today. It's a boat trip. We were fortunate enough the year before we moved to Fairfield, we came in 1999. In the year 1998, we took our boat from a little marina in one of the Finger Lakes, and we followed the Erie Canal east to Albany and south to New York City, all the way to the Statue of Liberty and beyond. And by the way, the Statue of Liberty is at the point where the river, the Hudson River, meets the Atlantic Ocean. So we can say we did go into the Atlantic Ocean and came back. Now, over 550 nautical miles in 14 days. So some days we were really moving. And what I have to explain something that was a real revelation. I'd always heard about Benedict Arnold and how he had betrayed his country. And there was some chain, and he dropped the chain. And it never made any sense to me until we drove down the Hudson on the boat past West Point. And at West Point, the Hudson River narrows to about 200 feet. It's very narrow. It's 200 feet deep, and it's 200 feet wide. And you make a left turn, and you go maybe 50 or 100 feet. And then you make a right turn, another 100 feet, and another right turn, and another 100 feet, and then you make a left turn. And you keep on heading to New York City. It was so narrow, the chain came down from 200 feet up, all the way down in the river, under the water, and up the other side. All he did was knock it loose, the chain went in, the British sailed by, and that's the story of betrayal. Mr. Tabletop Master.
Road trips, experiences. Who's got a story they want to share about driving through the U.S.? Maybe you were in Maine at the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, or you did some hiking in 14ers in Colorado, or maybe you wanted to see the Great Salt Lake. This is a mildly eager. Stephanie, it's like, I don't know, you got the kind of hand up, kind of down.
Dance?
It was up for the last few. Is it?
Dan's up.
Dan's more eager? Is it?
He's more.
Arm wrestle for it? Dan, all right.
Yeah!
These have been some great stories. Are you intimidated right now?
Yes.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
Do your best.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, my most memorable road trip was in 1959. I went with my family in, I guess it was probably a 57 Ford Fairlane, from Pampa, Texas, through the Deep South to Miami, Florida. It's a long drive. We didn't have air conditioning. The windows were down. I have to interject and say that probably I am not the world's greatest traveler. I believe certain people might agree that I'm not just a Johnny-on-the-spot traveler. And I believe that this was an inherited trait from my father. He was probably the world's worst tourist. We're driving all these hundreds of miles. I'm actually keeping a log because he got me out of school with the promise, he was a school administrator, got me out of school with the promise that I would keep a track of everything that we did. That was my project. But it was so funny to go on a long trip with him because he was a person who really abhorred wasting time. He wanted to get to his destination with not a lot of side trips and all this. So the big joke in our family is that if you were traveling with Homer Craig and one of the wonders of the world appeared next to the highway, he'd say, "Look, kids, there it is." And keep on driving. We saw a lot of interesting stuff. Florida was really quite a revelation. That for some reason, the thing that sticks most firmly in my mind is nature's giant fishbowl. That's the high point of Florida for me. Somehow you walked down some stairs and you were underwater, it was glassed in. It was really pretty memorable. That's the story of my trip to Florida.
No!
According to the agenda, I could do one more. However, that would leave very little time for our evaluator to actually complete 4 minutes.
Yeah, you got one more.
Tom Trainer says we have time for one more short, and Vera is convinced that it's going to be her.
Yes! Yes!
So here's the thing. We want road trip experiences. Is that pretty clear?
Pretty clear.
Okay, great. Go for it.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and guests. My road trip in 1998, I decided I'm not getting married again. I'm going to take myself on a honeymoon. So I packed up some meager supplies, got in a car, drove to Fort Lauderdale, and was making the connection to get on the Italian Romantica cruise, ocean cruise. Now, it's not all in the U.S., but bear with me. So I went down to Fort Lauderdale, and the night before, there was this movie happening, and it was the Titanic, and I went to see that. Wow, this is how I'm going to live my cruise. I'm going to get down in the undermakings of the ship, find out how the ship works, and maybe have some fun. But, but how am I going to get this accomplished? Well, as Nature Organized, they have all these amazing chefs that do all these incredible art that's just so blew my mind. I've never been like to a museum and seen art that much before '98. And so the sculptures on the tables were out of this world. The food was amazing. It was just all decadent and beautiful. And I said to this one cook, I said, "Did you do this?" And he said, "I did this and this." And I said, "Wow." And he says, "You like that?" And I says, "Could you show me some more? Could you show me like down under where you guys work and how the ship's made?" And so sure enough, he showed me around, and it was like, and he said, "Now nobody can see us." So we were sneaking around, and he said, "Come over here, somebody's coming." So we were sneaking through all these layers down there. And then at night, I took it upon me to go down in the lower valves and watch the waves. And this huge whale came up to me and sprayed for me. And I was dancing. It was just so awesome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all. That was Table Topics. You have the opportunity to take a slip of paper at your seat that says Table Topics, Speaker, and Evaluator on it. And you can rip off the piece that says Table Topics, and our timer will tell us the names of the people and if they qualify. You don't have to tell us the time, just the names and if they qualify.
Okay, Rahul qualified, Bart qualified, Tom qualified, Dan qualified, and Vera qualified.
All right, there you go. Rosaline, she was over time. Great story.
No.
And we're coming back to our Table Topics evaluator, Darlene Martin, the fun, the hip, the stylish, the enthusiastic, elegant.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
4 minutes.
I have 4 minutes, okay, thank you. I was like sweating that. I'm gonna get 6 people done in 2 minutes. Okay, right off the bat, I wanna say, and not including Rosalie because she's new, but I noticed that Tom was the only person, everybody greeted the audience, but Tom, and I say this because there are seasoned members here, Tom was the only one to also greet the Table Topic Master, which is part of the protocol, and it's important that we all know that besides just greeting everybody else. So thank you, Tom, for being such a good role model for us. Okay, Raul, he did a wonderful job of just segueing right into his move to California, which I'm incredibly jealous, but good luck to you, and I wish you the best. My suggestion, Raul, would just to be use the stage a little bit more, but I also felt you were really focused on what you were talking about, and it was really important for you to share that with us, so I think that may have been why, because you normally do move around a little bit more. But we're going to miss you. Rosalie, I really liked how you came out in front of the lectern. That's the proper word, okay. And I don't know how comfortable you are speaking, but I really like that you came out right away and presented yourself in front of us. I liked your gestures going into the ditch. And some of them had purpose, some of them didn't, and you'll learn that in time. I also really I could feel, as you were talking, like the fear of being left alone on the side of the road with your children. That really was coming across. Did anyone else feel that when she was telling her story? That's a real gift that you have, of imparting that emotion when you're talking. So that was really lovely to experience. Art. Great gestures, radius 300 miles. What I also noticed this was such a great topic to pick, Seth, because there was so much enthusiasm on everyone's faces. I mean, I saw you be more expressive and just, you're just all these smiles. It's like you're reliving this experience. It was a wonderful experience for you. So that was just a joy to watch that all for everybody. Great job. My only suggestion would be to come out.
Come out.
Yeah.
Got it.
Come out from the lectern.
Come out, wherever you are.
Tom, I thought you had incredible vocal variety, great gestures, 200 feet deep, taking us on this left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn. My only suggestion would be also use the stage more. You kind of get up here and just kind of stay here, even though you have big gestures. So that would be my only suggestion for Tom. Dan, also great gestures. You had all this expression in your face too, and enthusiasm as you were sharing this wonderful road trip. I loved how you rolled down the windows, keeping a log. He had incredible gestures. For people who are new, there was a really lot of great people who had wonderful gestures and vocal variety today. My suggestion would be use the stage a little bit more. Everyone kind of seemed to come out here and boom, here we are. Vera, she was on her honeymoon trip. And also had lots of smiles. I don't think I ever seen you smile so much. It was so beautiful.
I didn't tell you who I met.
Lots of enthusiasm. My one suggestion would be more eye contact. And now we turn it back over to Rhonda, our Toastmaster. All right, moving right along on our road trip through the meeting tonight. We're going to make up some time here. I would like to mention that we have two speakers tonight, Diane Denbaum and Rahul Bhatts, for the viewers at home, so you know what to expect. And Diane Denbaum is always pulling a rabbit out of her hat. She is very creative. Now, I would like to ask Jean Simonton Craig, who will be evaluating Diane, to come up.
Should I get, when do I get ready after this?
Could you stop? Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Diane is doing Project 3 in the Competent Communicator, Get to the Point. Her objectives are to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purposes, to organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes, ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purposes, project sincerity and conviction and control any nervousness she may feel, strive not to use notes. I'd almost want to ask if there's a word anti-abhorrence, because evaluating Diane, listening to Diane, I feel anti-abhorrence. So it's the other side. I feel delight, I feel excitement, anticipation, whenever I get to work with Diane. Trying to use the word. Diane Denbaum is a life coach, a relationship success coach, a wonderful wife, her words, devoted daughter as she cares for her mom, loving and dedicated mother to her 3 children. She has co-authored Madly in Love Forever, a guide to true and lasting love. She's also a physical education teacher. She's an advanced silver communicator and an advanced leadership bronze Toastmaster. You might be asking, why is she doing competent communicator? She's already got advanced level awards. Diane is a true contributor to this club. While she's deciding on her next advanced level, which is going to be her Advanced Communicator Gold, and those of you that are new, you'll hear from your mentors and you'll learn more about that. But Diane is a highly productive Toastmaster, but while she's deciding that, she's also working and contributing by finishing another competent communicator. As a club, we need 4 competent communicators every year. So Diane is, while she's treading water and deciding what's going to catch her next, she's producing. I just want to really commend Diane for that. Do I introduce her and bring her up now?
Yes.
So let's warmly welcome Diane.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jean. Good evening, everyone, guests, and viewers at home. I am actually going to do a little magic tonight. Jesus, I do not want you to worry. I am not trying to steal your show or compete with you. I have a little different magic tonight. Tonight, I'm going to teach you, because I love to teach, 4 magical phrases that you can use to respond to anything. I'm bold enough to say to anything. And that response could be to anything coming your way that's happy. Maybe you've just been disrespected or feel disrespected. Maybe you feel a little insulted. Or maybe you've just been paid a great compliment. You will be able to respond to anything with these 4 magical phrases. All of these phrases begin with, "That's interesting." That's interesting. The first one is the most popular. You could actually exist with just one. But because I'm a magician, I'm going to give you 4. So let's play with this first one. Something comes your way. You might feel the acid in your mouth, thinking inside, what do they mean? How dare they? Oh, I'm ready to just lay into them. What do you mean? Like that. If some of you were here before, I talked about that reacting and responding. This gives you an opportunity to respond rather than to react. So you say to the person, "That's interesting. Tell me more." That's interesting. Tell me more. Why don't you say it? That's interesting.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
Again.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
Now, that should get you out of the pickle jar. And I want you to take that visual in, because the next time you feel that you want to react and pounce on someone, think of this pickle jar, because I have 3 more that'll get you out of the pickle jar. So tell me more doesn't work. Then you've got number 2, which is, "That's interesting. Why would you say that?" So that's interesting. Why would you say that? You can say it. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Why would you say that? Okay. Then you've got, same thing, something comes at you. That's interesting. Why do you ask that?
That's interesting.
Thank you,
Why do you ask that? Pipping.
That's interesting. Why would you ask that? The final one is, "That's interesting. Why would you do that?" Why?
That's interesting. Why would you do that?
Very good. Okay? 2 examples. I'll start with 1 example. The first example of how this was used in everyday life, I'm going to bring the practical right here and now. My 21-year-old son, Lucas, lives up at Kirkwood Community College, and he is on a roll. I have never seen someone so fastly educate themselves about the value of eating organic food and the abhorrence that he has to the whole genetically modified seed issue. He has created his own mission, and he's up there in Cedar Rapids informing everyone about organic food and the GMO. He shared with me how, "Mom," he said, "you know, people say to me, come on, I don't need to hear this stuff. I'm happy just shopping in Hy-Vee. Like, what's with all this organic stuff? It's a hoax." Lucas's reaction was to just get up on that pedestal and start the lecture. And he noticed nobody was listening to him. he shared this with me, and I said, I'm going to give this speech at Toastmasters about 4 magical phrases. Are you interested to hear what they are? Yes. I told him. He went back up, and the next time a friend of his said what I just told you, it's a hoax, the organic, Monsanto's fine, you know, whatever their opinion was, Lucas did, that's interesting, and he used a combination. He said, that's interesting. Why would you ask me not to talk about organic food? Tell me more. What Lucas noticed, and what I want you to get, the point of this tonight is, Lucas said, Mom, the anger, the frustration, everything just diffused, and this young man stopped and thought, you know, why don't I want to know about organic food? And Lucas just watched this person go right in on themselves. And then he said he began to verbalize, I really don't know anything. I just hear my parents talking about Monsanto or organic food or the cost of it. So Lucas's response to me was, wow, it just makes people figure things out for themselves. That's one example that I think really brings home the point of using these. I had something quick the other day where my mom said something, and I said, gosh, Mom, that's so interesting. Why would you say that? And she stopped. We were driving in the car, and she looked and said, I shouldn't have said that. It was about someone else. She said, yeah, well, why would I? I shouldn't have said that. These are very magical. And the only way that you're going to know how magical they are is to write them down and do your homework and practice this out in your life. Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk. Thank you, Diane. Okay, we're back. Our second speaker tonight is Rahul Vox, and his evaluator, speech evaluator, will be Mr. Tom Trainer, our historian in the making.
Yay.
Thanks, Tom.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests. Good to see you here. Tonight, Rahul is working on Competent Communicator Project number 7 out of 10. And I'm going to read the objectives for this speech, not from the front of the book, but from the part where the evaluator reads. It's a little more in depth, and I want you to all get a better handle on what his objectives are. He's selected a subject of importance to this audience that requires a large amount of research, and he has. He's to collect information from numerous sources, carefully supporting his points with specific facts, examples, and illustrations, rather than his own opinion. The speaker is to incorporate everything he's learned in the prior 6 projects about purpose, organization, word use, body language, local variety. To introduce Rahul. He is currently our Vice President of Education, soon not to be. He was all done anyway next week. He's only leaving 1 week early, and there is no meeting next week, so you don't have a job next week anyway. He decided to help this club regain the #1 status in the state of Iowa, which we have been for 7 years in a row and 11 out of the last 23. He's already given 2 speeches about this project. Tonight he's going to talk about how you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you too, can become a competent leader. Now there are a number of people in this club who have an abhorrence to completing that manual and actually getting themselves to be a competent leader. But he's going to try and make you do it. He's going to give you the why and the why not. Please warmly welcome Rahul Vox.
Good evening, friends, fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests and viewers at home. My name is Rahul Watts, and I'm trying to serve my duty as the Vice President of Education for the club, and I'm trying to educate all of you how we can help and contribute. Repeat after me. How we can help and contribute to achieve this goal.
To achieve this goal.
And what's the goal?
#1 club in the state
of Iowa. So I would go and I'll start with what I have to offer in my speech tonight. We have been the #1 club for past 7 years. We lost this last year and we are trying to get it back. Now, as we heard in the previous speech by the evaluator Jean Simonton Craig, who told us that we need 4 competent communicators each year. Am I right? Correct, Jean?
That's right.
We need 4 competent communicators. But that's not the only thing. What besides that we need are competent leaders. How many? 2. 2. Now, as Tom just said, that many people are abhorrent towards this goal or duty. I'm going to try to make you realize that it's very simple. It's very simple. Now, who all were here last week in my speech when I told you how you can be a competent leader? Who all? Right, a lot of them. Did you remember my assignment for you for this week? Nobody did. John, why didn't you?
I don't know.
I specifically asked you.
Yeah.
I did.
To be a leader.
To be a leader. And I also told you to just go and read your manual. Didn't I?
Oh, I forgot.
See, I'm a very lenient teacher. I'm very, very easy. But you have to do your homework, right? You have to. All right. I thought you would not do that. So I have a few. Everybody has their work. They're busy. I understand. We are not going to school just for study. We are here to learn, but we do have other responsibilities. So let's take it one step ahead and in a simple manner. We have this manual. How many people have brought this manual here today? Well, that's good. I'd like you, if you have your manual, just to open it and go to a page which says Project Completion Record Place. Would you go and do that? Project Completion Record? I can pass this book around.
What page, Raul?
Well, it's different. It's page 6 in this old manual. It is at the last page in the new manual. So you'll have to. Page number 6 in this manual, Rosalie.
Oh, okay.
Page number 6.
Oh, in the beginning.
Yes, page number 6.
There we go.
All right, I'll pass this book around. Just read this. Just read this. So, here it is. It's very simple and very easy. There is this application which needs to be filed online. Can you read this?
Yeah.
Everybody
Pass
at the
it.
home, I'm going to pass it. Ryan, please read that and pass it around.
No, no, that's
Not right now. Now see, it's very easy. As I told you last week, you should not be giving a speech, and I'm going to make a plea to the next Vice President of Education, which is Dan Craig, that make sure nobody gets scheduled to speak until they do 3 rows. Make sure they do the 3 rows. 3 rows. And the rows are very simple. You all do them. Just get yourself credit for doing those rows. It's not difficult. All you have to do is bring your manuals and get them signed by one another person so that you get the credit. Now, what are those rows? Aha counter. Who's the aha counter for the day? Rhea. Did you bring your manual?
I did.
That's good.
Yeah, Rhea.
So now I'm going to go through this and I'm going to tell you how easy can it be for club's Vice President of Education to keep track of you and for you to realize what you can do so that his job is easy to follow up with you and see that you're doing right things to be on track. Now I'll pass this list around. I'm giving it to Sid. Make sure you read them, and I'm going to tell you what happens. There are 10 projects that you need to complete in order to be a competent leader. And they test you for very basic skills. Can you meet the time requirement? Don't you all like to be punctual?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you aspire to be punctual?
I do.
Do you don't like when people are not punctual or they are not respecting your time?
Boo.
I abhor it.
I say, that's interesting, why do you do that?
Well, that's a good question.
I was asked you that.
That's a good question. See, I'm going to follow your magic phrase.
Thank you.
That's a good question. That's interesting. I'll have to think about it. All right, but here's the thing. When you come here, you're committing to develop yourself, and you cannot develop yourself unless you're following a proven system, a system which has been used by a lot of people in order to grow and become a distinguished Toastmaster like Tom Trainer, like Cindy Trainer, like Seth Brown, like Gene, Simon, and Craig, Dan Craig, Art Atkinson, Diane. You have a lot of examples in our own club. You don't need to go too far. You see these people, when you see these people, I don't know about everybody, I feel a lot of respect when I see them. And when I have that respect, I want to follow into their footsteps. I want to do what they are doing and be a better person. And a better leader. And a better speaker. I can do all of that by simply following that manual. Now, just getting back to this point where I need to make you realize what you have to do so that you can complete that manual easily. Read your manual every day, only at the time of the meeting. Don't do it each day. Just do it on the day of your meeting. And see what roles you have already fulfilled, what you have not. And tell your Vice President of Education that there is this certain role which you need to do in order to complete a particular project. If you do that, it's very easy for him to keep track of your growth and get our club what it needs in order to achieve this goal. So now, I do know that I'm not going to be here next week, and I'm not going to be teaching you. But as a farewell promise, I'd like to request you to make this promise to me that you will do what you're coming here for sincerely. And just do it in this meeting. It's 45 minutes each week. Not 45 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes each week that you come here. And you have a manual. All you need to do is bring that, read that, and see which projects you have to do and complete them. Would you make me this promise? I don't see people interested in my speech tonight. What has happened to you guys?
We're taking notes.
You're taking notes?
Yes.
That's good, darling. I love you for that. Thank you. All right, so as my farewell promise, I would like to request you, promise me that you will make the life of next Vice President of Education easier. Would you make this promise?
Yes.
Would you bring your manual?
Yes.
Yes. All right, with that, I'll hand it back to our Toastmaster.
Yay!
Okay, now we're going to vote. We're going to take 2 minutes to vote?
No.
Oh, thank you. We're back. We're traveling right along, singing our song tonight. And going on with our general evaluator, Mr. William Burns. Please help me warmly welcome him.
Thanks, Rhonda. We've moved past table topics, moved past the prepared speeches, and now we're moving into the evaluation portion, where we I was going to say review, but it's a lot deeper than that. This is a process of improvement that we all welcome as Toastmasters, because it challenges us, it reminds us what we ourselves did well with our speeches, even though we occasionally forget in the midst of giving them, and also reminds us what we could do better. So first, we have two very experienced evaluators here. It's called the first one up here, Gene Simonton Craig. Yo!
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home, I'm going to read through the manual and evaluate Diane based on that. The general purpose of the speech I thought was informative. She was going to tell us something, and that was pretty clear to me at the beginning when she says she has 4 things, magical things she's going to tell us about. The specific purpose was these 4 magical phrases she's going to tell us about. I loved her opening. And you like the wand? So instead of body gestures, she had wand gestures. Were you drooling? Did you want one?
I want one.
You want one? Yes. All right. So the wand was really good. Speech organization, very systematic. After her opening, she said, here are the 4 phrases. She gave 2 examples showing those phrases in action and giving us a story to help fill that out. And then she gave us a conclusion, which is what this topic and this project is for. She achieved the specific purpose. She ordered everything correctly. She appeared confident and sincere with minimal nervousness. And she didn't rely on notes. Although I have to say, I was a little worried at the beginning, like, Diane, what kind of optical equipment do we need to be able to see these visuals here? But I guess these were her notes.
Saw those?
Kind of cute, actually. Here, yes, I definitely saw them. Some people have put notes in their hand when they sort of go like this, and then they see hands, little things. But I didn't really see her using notes in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Things that could have been done differently to make the speech more effective. I would like to have seen the conclusion fleshed out a bit more. Kind of ended up, I don't know where she was on time, but it kind of ended up with, so practice and get out there, and these phrases are magical. And I sort of felt a little bit, I don't know, they were worth more than that. An idea would be, to flesh it out a little more, look for, her telling us, look for opportunities or situations where you can feel yourself climbing into that pickle jar. Because she had that great prop, that pickle jar, so she could pull that in again. Instead of going there, use one of those magical phrases to help turn the anger into insight. Kind of a little more pithy. I mean, I'm just playing with it, but just something to really, because she was talking about transforming communication and people's orientation at the time. I thought it was really magical. We're going to be using it. Secondly, I'd like a little more focused eye contact. Diane is great getting into the story. I mean, she's inhabiting the story, and she's there, and she's talking to her mom and everything. I think she could be really powerful if she came out of the story and then back into the present and nailed somebody with a statement right there. And then she's off and she's telling her story, because she's so great with her animations on her stories, but just alternate between the story and then the present. I sort of felt like you didn't look at me that much. I don't know how that's possible, but okay. And the things I really liked, the wand, the pickle jar, not stealing Jesus's show, and also the facial gestures, the acid in the mouth. Just, you were so good with your face. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Now our next evaluator will be Tom Trainer, who will evaluate Rahul Vats.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, viewers at home, but most especially our soon to depart Rahul. We're going to go through the manual because that, for me, is the only way I can cover all the points. How well did the speaker's topic apply to the audience? I don't know how more visual you can get when you use this prop and say, we're not going to have this for a whole year. It leaves here when you guys go to training on the 29th of June, and it will not return until after July 1st of next year. Pretty specific about that. I like that. Very good. Topic well researched. Yes. He used the Toastmaster manuals. How more specific can you get? How well did he support his points? He asked specific questions and got the audience involved. Pretty good like that. Was the support material appropriate? Yes, because he used the Toastmaster manuals. About his purpose, was the support material appropriate? Again, yes, he's using manuals and he's asking you to get involved. He's asking you to buy in. Okay, how clear was his purpose? Very clear. He stated, I want us to be number one again. But you didn't put that in your title. You didn't have a title. If you tell us at the beginning, my title is, how do we be number one? Then you set it up, and then you refer to it, and you have referred to it in your body, but you didn't open with that. What else? Effective organization? I think so. He followed a very specific, this is what we need to do, this is what we're going to do, this is what I want you to do. Pretty specific. Took advantage of body language, vocal variety, and all of the prior 6 projects. He couldn't have done what he did without having done those. Pretty obvious that he did a very sophisticated job. What could you have done to improve? 1, send an email, not today, not yesterday, but 2 days ago, 3 days ago, yesterday, and today, to remind everyone to bring their manuals to the meeting. Then you would have had people with hands-on, and your point would have been made for you. Second point, practice what you preach. Who did not bring their manual tonight? Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? If you would have made my heart and everyone else's if you'd have admitted that in your speech. I screwed up. I didn't bring my manuals. And then it would have been real. And I feel pretty silly because I'm giving you a speech about it. That's again, use the dichotomy of yes, no, yes, no. What I like. Sincerity and effort to educate. It takes a lot to stand up here and do what you have to do. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Tom. Madam Timer, did both of our evaluators, the three, include table topics, always forgotten, qualify?
2 qualified, Darlene and Tom qualified.
So take 2 minutes and evaluate our evaluators. I'm sorry, vote for our evaluators. And we're back.
Yay!
Now, let's hear from our role players. People behind the scenes. And we'll start with our timer, Karen Aoki.
Yeah, Karen.
I bore being late myself, so this was a great role for me. Rahul Watts had, this is the table topics. Rahul had 1 minute 37 seconds. Rosalie, 2 minutes 58 seconds. Art, 1 minute 56 seconds. Tom Trainer, 2 minutes 10 seconds. Dan Craig, 2 minutes 13. Vera, 2 minutes 8 seconds. For prepared speeches, Diane, 7 minutes 14 seconds. Rahul, 9 minutes 17. Table topics evaluator, Darlene at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. For speech evaluators, Jean, 3 minutes 38 seconds. And Tom, 3 minutes 27 seconds.
Thank you, Karen. And now, let's hear from our counter, Rhea.
Right. Rhea.
Seth had one Rahul, one and one Rosaline, 2 ahs, 7 and 2 you-knows. Art, 1 Xerox, Tom, 1 now. Dan, 1 Xerox. Vera, 1 Darlene, 1 Jean, 1 lip smack. Diane, 1
Let's just give you something.
and that's it.
All right.
All right. Easy marker. Next, I'm going to call up our grammarian, Ryan Olson.
All right.
Yeah, Ryan.
I have a deep abhorrence for my poor note-taking skills, but these are a few of the things that I noticed tonight. We had a number of people use abhorrence, including Dan and Diane and Tom Trainer, Rahul, and Karen. And Jean went with anti-abhorrence, which I'm not sure is going to qualify. And Seth takes the cake with 3 uses of forms of abhorrence.
The Triple Crown.
So I'll quickly share some interesting phrases that people use and maybe some helpful pointers on grammar. My favorite with Seth was the quote, "Have you ever been experienced?" And Raul had in his first speech, I'll give other speakers the chance to utilize the time. I enjoyed that. Rosaline tried to cross the border 5 times. And a little correction, in spite of, I had a V8, probably want to include the word in spite of the fact. Art, he improvised some camping, and he had a punchline 3 times with a, "Sorry, we're all booked." Dan started off wonderfully with, "It was a long drive." We didn't have air. And the world's worst traveler who said, "Look kids, there it is." Vera, we all enjoyed "Take Myself on a Honeymoon." And a little correction, instead of "and I says," to be more formal, "and I said." Darlene had "I'm extremely jealous," enjoyed that. And a little correction, you want to say, you have kind of a there I just did it, kind of a tendency, but kind of much more correct. Diane enjoyed "These will get you out of the pickle jar." A little correction, you said "watch this person go in on themselves," as opposed to "in on himself." And Jean, what optical equipment should we be using? And 3 people, 1 correction for 3 people, Jean, Tom, and Will, all were using "gonna." So, thank you.
And now, our joke master. Come on up.
Golden speakers, I have 2 quick jokes. Classics. You may have heard them. First one, a man is cleaning out his wallet. And he finds a claim check for a pair of shoes that he dropped off at the shoemaker. But it was 5 years ago. So he's going, I wonder if the store is even still there. So he's in New York City, he goes down to 10th Avenue, goes down the street, and there's the shop. And he walks in, he remembers the smell of the shoe shine shop. He sees the same little old man behind the counter. Pulls out his wallet, has the ticket, gives it to the man. The man looks at it, just a minute. Walks halfway back, looking through this rack of shoes. Turns around, walks back to the counter, has the ticket in his hand, he gives it back to the man, he says, "They'll be ready Tuesday."
Only in New York City.
Only in New York City, exactly. He wanted to make sure that he really wanted those shoes before he worked on them. Another joke, two strings walk into a bar. Bartender says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve your kind here." So they go, "Okay." So they turn around, walk outside, and they're sitting on the curb. One string's saying to the other string, "I'm really thirsty. You know, I want to go back in there." So the second string says, "I got an idea." So he stands up and he starts disheveling himself and pulling threads out. So, "I got this." He walks it back into the bar, stands in front of the bartender, says, "I'll have a beer." The bartender says, "Aren't you a string?" He says, "Nope, afraid not."
Put it off no longer. I'm Will Burns, I'm the evaluator, and this is my evaluation of our evaluators for this evening. Starting off with Darlene. You came out, you were enthusiastic, as usual. I like how you made a very precise note that we had great greetings from the table topic speakers, but the only person who actually greeted the table topics master was Tom. It was a very precise point to make, and I think it was a good one. You had something, what Darlene did was have something for everybody to improve upon. And this can be, I've often heard this referred to as the praise sandwich or the Oreo cookie method, where you have something nice to say about somebody, you make one suggestion, and you say, "This is what I really enjoyed about what you did," as well. It's a very effective way because it reinforces our strengths while also reminding us of that little extra we could do to kind of push us over to the next level. Jean Simonton Craig. I like how she introduced Diane, which is a great introduction, and then explained why she was going back and doing a CC. Those of us that have been in the club for a while know that Diane's an experienced speaker. She has done a lot of speeches, especially from the advanced manual. She and Tom both evaluated to the manual, and that's an option you can use. You can use it. As a military man myself, I like that precise, this is the standard. I also was involved for a while in food safety, where you also have a set of requirements. And I guess that's just been kind of beaten to me, is that philosophy of this is the standard. However, you don't have to do that as an evaluator. You also have the ability to come up here and speak off the cuff, which by nature, I guess, kind of general evaluator does, because it's more of a input view. I like how Jean hit on the deeper elements, that Diane can storytell, but to really hit us with that point, which goes back to, that's an experience thing that you wouldn't know otherwise unless you'd heard her speak. And I really like how you actually gave us the extra little bit there, Jean, today for that. Tom, I like how you went to a deeper level with Rahul as well, with the review of what he did in a deeper sense, with the manual missing. As Toastmasters, as speakers, we love victory, we love beautiful trips, we love pain. Everything is as human beings, because we can relate to it. And now, to end our pain, I'm going to call up our Toastmaster, Wanda Whittaker.
Part of the meeting that we get to present awards. For best table topics, let's have a drum roll. And our winner for Best Table Topics is Vera Elizabeth.
Yes!
Our second award goes to the best speaker this evening, Diane Benham. Drum roll. Award number 3, best evaluator, Mr. Tom Trainer. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for this delightful traveling visit around Toastmasters tonight. We have people going all over the world here. Let's welcome Will Burns for closing comments tonight.
Thank you, Rhonda. We have some new guests here that snuck in there when I wasn't looking. So I'll start with you, sir, on the right. Can you just tell us your name, what brought you here, and your experience tonight?
Well, thank God first because he let me be here, come back here to Fairfield, Iowa. My name is Serafin Baron. I'm Jesus' brothers. And this is the second time I've been here, and I'm happy to be on this place, which is a beautiful place. And I enjoy the time that I've been passed with my brother here the last time. And I'm going to be here this probably about another week. And I guess it's going to be another beautiful time for me. And thank you for everybody here that like my brother invited me here. Is well, in my case, I should have left my nervous in the back of my home, but I brought it with me.
Yeah.
So I should bring it, but I brought it. But nice to see you again, Will Thompson. Nice to meet everybody who that don't know me. That is something beautiful for me. Good time that I have here. There's a good time for me that I've been here. And like I say, I hope I will have another beautiful time spending with y'all here this time. Thank you.
For spending some of your limited time here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. This is my second night here, and I'm finding it very enjoyable.
And what's your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's Lynette. That's my name. And I'm new in Fairfield. I think I told everybody last week about 8 months. And I had been thinking about coming here, and I'm finding it very pleasant, very informative. So I hope to become a very good speaker.
good. Yeah, Lynette. And now, wherever your travels take you, I wish you well. Delay yourself momentarily, Tom.
No meeting here next week, right?
Yes, no meeting here next week.
Yeah, and speaking of traveling on roads, I'll send the directions to get out to my house. I live northwest of town, but you'll get an email with directions.
And what's happening at your house?
What's going on?
Painting for us.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I inviting you to my house? We're having a party. We're going to induct our new members, or new officers rather.
And parties.
Parties, and eat, and come out to the country, and maybe we'll hear the pundits playing cricket, who knows?
And bring food.
And bring food, which right now I have some people who have offered. I can quickly go around if you haven't jumped in, or I'll put this in the email and you can fill in the blanks so that it's a balanced potluck. Right now I have cheese and crackers, carrot and celery sticks, stuffed olives, fruit, baked sweet, Darlene something yummy, John Laura's cookies, hummus, and horchata. I haven't even made up my mind what I'm making, I'll just fill in whatever. So that's what we have coming. Anybody dying to bring something? Your
Chips
favorite
and
recipe?
drinks sounds.
Chips and
empty.
drinks?
Sounds empty on that.
Okay.
I already offered fruit.
And what time does it start?
Chips and drinks. 7 p.m., thank
7
you.
p.m., so a half
You may
hour.
bring your spouses and family, I'm fine with that, we have a lot of space, I'll put out some frisbees and things like that if the kids want to come, children, girlfriends, boyfriends. Next Tuesday night, June 25th.
Instead
7
of this
p.m.
meeting.
Right.
And if you're not on the Toastmaster list, come and see me and give me your email, make sure you get the email, because I'll send it out to the golden speaker list. Anything else, any other questions? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Just a quick report. This past weekend, I took a quick trip to Des Moines to officer training, which was a Division C training, mostly of Des Moines club officers in the Des Moines area. And I have to say it was the most enjoyable officer training, and also the quickest officer training that I've ever attended. It was focused on just 2 topics, and that was teaching officers about the Distinguished Club program and teaching officers about the roles of the various officers. That was the sum total of the major topics. And I have a nice little handout here which might be useful to incoming officers. It's just a quick summary on 1.5 pages of what each of the officers has as a primary responsibility.
Great.
Very good, thank you, Art. New officers, see Art. Those of you general Toastmasters, please give us a few minutes of your time before you leave to help us organize the room back the way that we found it, and have a wonderful evening in your adventures.
Thank you. Will.